I'm happy to be going back. It has been a long, long wait, and it has been difficult, but I'm glad I can go back.
I'm excited. I want to sleep in my own bed, and I just want to see my house.
3 weeks of an unattended garden, 3 weeks of an unattended house. You know, what kind of surprises are we going to find?
People eagerly awaiting the return to Yellowknife. Good evening. Welcome to Northbeat. I'm Megan Roberts in Edmonton. As you heard there, Yellowknifers are getting ready to go home. Those were in Fort Providence. They are waiting for the city to reopen tomorrow at noon. We will hear more tonight about what you can expect on your return. But first, we turn our attention to Hay River. The wildfire that destroyed Enterprise now surrounds Hay River on 3 sides, and it has moved dangerously close to the hospital. Fire Information Officer Mike Westwick is in Hay River tonight. Mike, you were expecting this long weekend to be busy in the South Slave. Can you tell us what's happening in Hay River right now?
Yeah, well, through the long weekend, we saw 2 days of really, really heavy winds, and that put us into a defensive mode here again in Hay River. We saw big flare-ups. We saw the fire make some progression within 500 meters of the hospital here. But every step of the way, as it tried to make its way into town, we were able to push it back. So that was really good. We mounted a successful defense there, so that's really positive. We got some help from rain after that. And we've been using every opportunity offered by that rain, some limited relief from this rain, to get moving, to start securing our lines around the town there, and work to dig away all that hot fuel and extinguish it, to start securing the town of Hay River, and work towards getting to a place where we can support a safe return over here. But we got some work ahead of us on that front for sure.
Yeah, 500 meters is just so close to the hospital there. Is there an idea of what the next day or two will look like in Hay River? Is there going to be more rain?
We don't have any rain in the forecast, neither in the short term or long term. But we do have some slightly cooler temperatures. Today it got to about 17 degrees. Tomorrow we're forecasted about 16 degrees. We're expecting to see, continued drying. We've already started to see some fire activity pick up a little bit. Have some of that fire that's been burning deep underground start popping up above ground a little bit in some areas. But again, we're going to be using all of our resources here to work our way along the perimeter of that fire with heavy equipment, followed up by crews to work to secure this place and support a safe return in the future.
And can you give me an update as well on Fort Smith, Mike?
Yeah, again, that fire reached within about 300 meters of Thibacha. The team there over the long weekend ran structure protection systems, sprinklers all around there. To this point, there's been no reporting of compromise to that area, which is good news. The team also took steps to create what's called a wet line, basically where you wet down all the unburnt forest surrounding cabin areas there. Again, they were able to successfully defend that area. They got a little bit of rain, a lot less than Hay River. But again, that team is taking every advantage at their disposal, doing things like working on new containment lines near Grand Detour Road, give firefighters a good place to operate out of, dealing with spot fires that appeared across the Salt River there and near the Foxholes area. Taking care of that stuff to protect things people care about. And of course, continuing to work that northeast flank, the one that's kind of closest to Fort Smith there. We haven't seen that fire progress further towards additional communities. The movement came towards Thibacha. And, the good thing is that the preparation done over the past few weeks by that team there held and put them in a place where they could successfully defend.
Okay. Mike, before I let you go, can you give me just a really quick update about what the highway situation is going to look like over the next couple of days, given that many Yellowknifers will start to head home?
Yeah, and of course, we're very happy to be seeing people come home to Yellowknife. This is why we do what we do, protect communities, protect people, help them get on with their lives. Now, we don't see any imminent threats of compromise to the highway over the next few days. We do want to remind people that they may see some fire nearby the highway. Of course, the fire did reach and cross the highway in certain areas on Highway 1 there. So be aware of that. The Department of Infrastructure will be out making sure there's safe passage, and of course we'll be active in the area, monitoring fires and advising of any additional risks. But for now, it's looking pretty okay. One thing we would remind people, firefighters are working all across the Highway 1 there. And with the level of traffic that's coming through, their most important hazard right now, honestly, in terms of their safety, is not necessarily fire. It's going to be your vehicles as those people come by. So please do be cautious. Drive slow, especially when you actually see firefighters and other staff working along the road, and follow any directions and signage in the area. Let's all keep each other safe as everybody eagerly waits and makes the journey to get home.
That's a really good reminder. Thank you so much for this, Mike. That is Fire Information Officer Mike Westwick in Hay River. Power is back on in Fort Providence after a transport truck took down power lines today. It caused a community-wide power outage just one day before evacuees are expected to arrive by the thousands. It happened around noon. The truck was delivering groceries to the northern store when it snagged the lines, pulling down poles and cutting the power. There was a mad scramble to get the groceries stocked at the store in the dark ahead of tomorrow. That is when there is expected to be a mass influx of people in the community. Fort Providence is a critical point on the highway system back to Yellowknife. Everyone driving will pass by. Many will need gas. Both gas stations in town lost power today, including Big River. However, the manager of Big River confirmed that the power is now back on. And this is all happening as the community gets ready for that huge rush of people. The CBC's Travis Burke is in Fort Providence tonight, and he checked in to see how the town is preparing.
We're stocking the shelves. We've got some orders coming in today, a fuel truck coming in today. The staff are all busy preparing sandwiches out back here in the kitchen. Basically, we're just stocking up and being ready so that when people come through, they can stop. I know everybody's going to be in a hurry. They all want to get home and spend that first night in their own bed. So we're just going to make sure everything's as well stocked as we can have it. We saw the traffic picking up on that Wednesday, which was actually before the official word came out about the evacuation, but people were taking it upon themselves to travel out. We just all pulled together, me and the staff. We decided we were going 24/7. Everybody changed their schedules. People came out to direct traffic, that sort of thing. So I think we did fairly well considering how quick it all happened. We're going to have plenty of supplies. I've been in constant contact with all of my suppliers. They've been making sure to get us as much as they can when the trucks are allowed through. We've gone to High Level and picked up some things ourselves.
I just think things are going to go fairly smooth. They'll be smoother than the last time. And most people probably pass through here in the daylight instead of, kind of starting at midnight and going to the next day at midnight. And people were more panicky. People were worried about their homes that they left. Now that everything is over, nobody lost homes in Yellowknife. Nobody lost homes in Fort Smith or Hay River. I think we have to be thankful for that. Otherwise, they'll drive by and we'll wave at them and wish them luck.
There are also major preparations underway in Yellowknife, a city that has been essentially shut down for 3 weeks. Thousands head back tomorrow, leaving behind convention centers, hotels, and campers. But what is going to be available when folks get home? The CBC's Richard Gleason found out.
It's going to take some time before things are fully back up and running. Some essential workers, like healthcare workers and daycare workers, are already back, but most workers won't be allowed back in until noon tomorrow. Here's a rundown of some of the services that will be available tomorrow. Over at Stanton Hospital, the emergency department will be at almost normal capacity, but patients needing more complicated emergency care that would normally get that care here will be medevaced to southern hospitals after being stabilized. The intensive care, extended care, and psychiatric units will remain closed. The health department is telling evacuees who have medical travel appointments in Alberta before September 11th to not return home. I asked what support will be available for those folks, but have not got a response yet. Sutherland's Drugs has remained open through the evacuation. Shoppers Drug Mart and the Medicine Shop Pharmacy on Old Airport Road are also open with limited hours. Both the Co-op grocery store and the Uptown Independent grocer store will be open. The Co-op is open from 8 a.m. till 7 p.m. and the Uptown Independent is open from noon until 8 p.m. The Co-op gas bar is open from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. The chair of the Yellowknife Daycare Association says they're looking at being up and running by Monday, the same day students are now scheduled to return to school. Anyone hoping to go to the liquor store to get some cold beer after the long drive, you're out of luck. The manager of both liquor stores says they will not be open tomorrow, though they will try to open before the weekend. Richard Gleason, CBC News, Yellowknife.
For more details on the re-entry into Yellowknife, we turn to the city's mayor. Rebecca Alty joins me from the NWT Capitol. Mayor, what does the city look like today? Is it starting to get a bit busier with everyone coming back, the essential workers, I should say?
For sure. Yeah, no, I was the first time I heard kids was today. It's been 3 weeks of basically just an industrious city of folks creating fire breaks or people in the emergency ops. And so to see people outside, it was a sunny day today, and to hear the kids out in the park laughing was, it's feeling a bit more normal. It's not there yet, but it's starting to feel more real that folks are coming home tomorrow.
I bet it's a welcome sound after being in such an empty city for so long. Can you tell me more about what work is being done tonight to make sure that the city is ready when people start to arrive tomorrow?
Yeah, so work continues. Essential workers continue to come. So businesses, the city, as well as the hospital continue to get up and running. And then tomorrow will be the first of the flights. And so working to get the operations set up at the airport, as well as the city's support for when folks arrive. There's quite a few flights that are scheduled to arrive tomorrow, with I think the first coming about noon. So yeah, it'll be a busy day, and you know, we'll see if there's any challenges like today with the power getting knocked out at Fort Providence. You know, fingers crossed for no further obstacles, but just take it day by day, obstacle by obstacle.
Do you have any concerns heading into the public return tomorrow? I know we're taking it day by day, but is there anything in the back of your mind right now that's making you think, okay, this could be a challenge?
I think there'll be challenges throughout. It's just every day presents a new different challenge, you know, like food truck knocking out the power at Fort Prov wasn't really in the forecast. So, you know, I know a lot of people have decided that they don't want to be the first back. There's lots of people that do want to be the first back. So, yeah, it's, you know, appreciating that, just recommending that residents really be prepared for any potential delays, as well as any potential lineups when you get back to the city when it comes to stores. And, you know, it's the message we keep saying is if we can just all continue to have patience with each other as we work through this all.
And do you know when we'll have some city services back, like garbage pickup, sewage pump out, and access to city facilities?
Yeah, and we do have that information on our website. So if people are interested, you just go to yellowknife.ca. But the garbage pickup will resume on Thursday, and then the solid waste facility will be open Thursday to Sunday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we are waiving the tipping fee, but it's just for residential garbage. So please don't bring your construction projects or anything like that yet. We're just working on getting the residential waste, you know, recognizing that it's been 3 weeks of food sitting in your fridge. We know folks will have some extra garbage as a result of that. So that will be up. Water and sewer trucks are back online. I believe it's come Thursday. There is some recommendations on the website as well for folks with trucked water. If you do have water in your tank, it's now been sitting for a while. So one of the recommendation is to use it to bathe or to do laundry, but to not use it as your drinking water. So for further information, definitely recommend that folks go to yellowknife.ca.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Mayor. That's Mayor Rebecca Alty of Yellowknife.
Thanks.
As you heard the mayor there say, the skies in Yellowknife were blue today. It was the same picture in Fort Providence. There was no smoke to be seen. Of course, though, that could change pretty quickly depending on the direction of the winds. And according to Environment Canada, that will be the case until we have snow. Yellowknife has had a very smoky year, and we know now that it is officially the smokiest year on record in the capital, and the season isn't even over yet. Environment Canada tracks smoke hours from May to October. So far this year, from May until midnight last night, Yellowknife has seen 540 hours of smoky conditions. Now, the previous record was set in 2014, which up until now has been known locally as the Summer of Smoke. That year, the city saw 476 hours of smoke. And then last year, it was just 26 hours over the same 6-month period. All this smoke has been taking a toll on Northerners, and some evacuees are headed back into the thick of it if the wind blows it in the right direction. Dr. Raj Bardwaj is an urgent care physician in Calgary and a regular health columnist for the CBC. He explains what this smoke is doing to us and who's most at risk.
Well, you know, that small particulate matter, the PM 2.5 sort of fire smoke exposure is not great for your lungs. But when your lungs have to work harder, your heart also has to work harder. So you have to think about things like, you know, if you've got asthma or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, but also if you have heart conditions. And then there are certain people that are more susceptible to fire smoke effects as well. So, you know, very young kids, very old folks, people who are pregnant, those types of people also have trouble with the fire smoke. So, you know, if you can minimize your exposure, wearing an N95 type mask will filter out a great deal of those particles and make it a lot easier on your body.
Evacuees in Calgary and Edmonton have seen their fair share of smoky skies as well. Both cities are also seeing record years for smoke. Today in Calgary, the Air Quality Health Index floated between a 7 and a 9, which is considered high risk. In Edmonton, that index got up as high as a 7 this afternoon, all because of that wildfire smoke blanketing the cities. It's likely to stick around until tomorrow. The soot and ash from wildfires are also having an impact on the Peyto Glacier in Banff National Park. Along with the lack of snowfall, it's on track for a dramatic and possibly historic melt this year. The Peyto is one of the longest studied glaciers in Canada, and it's used as a reference point for how other glaciers are doing. So if it's not doing well, the overall outlook is bleak. Dan McGarvey explains.
A team of researchers from the University of Saskatchewan takes to the skies over Banff National Park, high above remote mountain tops and pristine lakes, to glaciers and ice fields, and one that's disappearing faster than even they expected.
Well, dramatic change since last year, which itself had been dramatic change from the year before. This is the final end of our ice age. It's happening right now in our lifetimes.
For decades, Peyto Glacier has been a global reference point for scientists who measure the ice's thickness and its retreat. They say this year is on track to be one of the worst they've seen, adding to an already historic melt-off in 2021.
Normally the glacier would retreat 20 to 30 meters per year. It retreated almost 300 meters in 1 year after that. It's very challenging to see it disappear like this.
And then add 360 millimeters.
There's now a snowball effect of factors that could see this glacier and others disappear in our lifetimes.
Peyto Glacier would usually have fresh snow on it at this time of year, but it's already melted, and without that fresh snow, it can't make the ice it needs to survive.
It gets into this death spiral of when we have this kind of heat, the heat itself melting things, and then the soot from the fire darkening the glacier, causing it to melt faster.
Other scientists who also study the glacier say that means it's getting much harder to monitor as it melts and collapses.
It's getting more and more difficult to access the glacier to do our field work. We're also seeing new crevasses open up in new places, as well as holes and parts of the glacier actually falling apart.
Eventually, scientists will move on from Peyto to study glaciers that aren't melting as quickly, leaving this landscape to change forever. Dan McGarvey, CBC News, Banff.
A lot happens overnight.
Hey, good morning, Heather. Hey, good morning. How are you today?
We're ready to go when you need to know. Good morning. I'm Heather Hiscox. We begin with breaking news, what we're learning from.
Like you see from behind us here, how big the fire is.
Your connection goes back decades.
You're giving me the hard questions.
Yep. The heroes and the helpers.
That is what we're here for.
I found Canadians. I'm Heather Hiscox. Start your day with us on CBC Morning Live.
CBC Marketplace has a new podcast. Hi, I'm David Common.
And I'm Asha Tomlinson. Let us help you avoid clever scams, unsafe products, and sketchy services.
Claiming that you can cure cancer. Our TV show has been Canada's top investigative consumer watchdog for more than 50 years, but this is our first podcast.
We're watching out for your safety and money.
Many people allege that you've ripped them off.
We've got your back.
Available now on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcast.
We could get to bed a little bit early.
I could use sleep.
Kids will take and take and take.
What you waiting for?
This doesn't sound like my thing at all.
Together, forever.
Yeah.
Trevor.
Impactful stories that are close to all Canadians. Explore the connections.
New ideas with a twist.
This Week in Canada on CBC News Explore. Available free.
A plane crash-landed in Iqaluit on Sunday night. The Cessna 172 came down about 2.5 kilometers short of the runway. The pilot survived the crash and was brought into town by an all-terrain vehicle. The Transportation Safety Board says it's assessing the accident and has not sent investigators to Iqaluit yet. The aircraft was part of a group of planes which landed in Iqaluit Sunday night. Their markings indicate they belong to the Turkish Airlines Flight Academy. Iqaluit airport officials say they're waiting for approval from Transport Canada before moving the wreckage. A potentially precedent-setting case was heard in Nunavut on Friday. It looks at how mandatory one-year driving bans for people convicted of impaired driving could affect Inuit hunters. The CBC's Emma Tranter has more.
The case focuses on 3 Inuit hunters. Each has been charged with impaired driving. In Canada, people convicted of impaired driving on a first offence face a mandatory minimum driving ban of 1 year. But lawyers for the hunters say that ban will prevent Inuit hunters from going on the land and water to harvest and provide for their family and communities. A Crown lawyer also sided with the hunters, saying preventing them from driving vehicles for hunting violates their charter rights and their right to hunt under the Nunavut Agreement. Now it's up to Nunavut's court to decide how to move forward. They can either create an exception for Inuit hunters charged with impaired driving and give Parliament 1 year to amend its current laws, or they can reject the argument altogether. Justice Paul Bychuk said he will reserve his decision until the end of October. Emma Tranter, CBC News, Iqaluit.
The number of tourists returning to the Yukon continues to rise. There were more this year than last. However, the numbers still aren't as high as before the pandemic. And while the tourists are returning, the workers are not. Cheryl Kawaja explains.
Delayed by COVID, many tourists are now making up for it.
Oh, it's been amazing. It's just been so fulfilling, this beautiful country of Canada, and to see the Yukon. Hi, Betty.
Official numbers are still being tabulated, but according to Tourism Yukon, there's been a significant jump in visitors since last year, although still below 2019. Operators say it's obvious, especially in a place like Carcross. Lots of visitors.
Much better this year. Much, much better. Last year, my coach was usually about half full. This year, it's always been full. According to Holland America, last year we did 5,000 guests in our trip going all the way up to Dawson. This year we're going to be at about 12,000.
And while the number of visitors is up, the number of workers is lagging. This bus driver says he's noticed a lot of tourism businesses don't have the same hours.
Hours are a little bit shorter.
And some businesses just didn't reopen. Part of that is lack of staff.
It's a weird busy because we have no staff. We would normally employ 6 to 8 people It's just been us with help from our 2 grown daughters who set their lives aside to come and help us.
Staffing has been a challenge, and just getting people to come to work. Hospitality sector in general has been very hard hit by people not wanting to be in the industry.
After a busy season, it means the workers who are around are pretty tired.
Well, basically, we do more with less. We have to. We just take on. That means I take on more. Everybody kind of has extra duties to do, just so that we make sure that we're here to serve our guests, which is our #1 priority.
With no clear hiring solutions in sight, there's no indication next year's tourism season will be any slower or more staffed. Cheryl Kawaja, CBC News, Carcross.
Operation Nanook is in full swing. It's happening in Inuvik and near the coast up the Inuvik-Tuk Highway. Over 100 military personnel have been deployed in Inuvik. The operation will train the military on how to live on the land in harsh conditions. Local Canadian Rangers teach skills to survive in the tundra. Elizane Gagnon is with Operation Nanook. She says the groups are dropped off by plane on the tundra to learn survival skills.
We're dropping them and then with our communication equipment, we're making sure everything's all right. If they see something, they let us know, and then every once in a while we pop up, bring them food, and then go back. And then once temperature is good for that, we're bringing them back home, and then making them shower, and then pushing them back again.
Gagnon says the groups could be out for days at a time. The military is using the arena and curling rink in the Midnight Sun complex as its barracks and mess hall. And that is Northbeat for tonight. Now, if you're planning on driving back to Yellowknife when the city opens tomorrow at noon, please drive safe and be sure to check the highway conditions no matter where you're coming from. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts in Edmonton. Have a good night.